set up, and our next performance is going to be by someone, of course, I just met as well. But what makes this so amazing and just top of the line for me is because Jonathan Blanchard and I graduated from the same college, the same university, and that makes me really proud. I just met him. We are graduates of Tennessee State University in Nashville, Tennessee. The Big Blue Tigers. Let me tell you, oh, are there some tigers? Oh, tigers, we love our TSU, right? Yes, yes. So let me just share a little bit with you about Jonathan. Jonathan is a soul singer, songwriter, actor, and preserver of Negro spirituals. He successfully released his first studio album. It is entitled Freedom Soul, The Revolution. Freedom Soul was recorded with live musicians in Memphis, Tennessee, and Atlanta, Georgia. I asked Jonathan, well, what inspired you to do music? And he said that it's God-given. And today what you will hear is going to be hip-hop history. And you're going to see a comparison between America's original genres. So if Jonathan is ready to take the stage, come on up, Jonathan. Come on up, my brother. All right, come on up, TSU Tiger. Bring it on, because I know you're going to do it, okay? All right, it is so nice to meet you.
Please stand to your feet. Stand up, everybody. We're going to take our pretend hammers and our pretend ice picks in our hands. We're going to raise them above our head. Come down together. Here we go. Again. There you go. There you go. Sing with me. I can't hear you in the back. There you go. All together, please. I'll be so glad when the sun goes down. I'll be so glad when the sun goes down. Ain't all that sleepy, but I wanna lie down. Ain't all that sleepy, but I wanna lie down. I'll be so glad when the sun goes down. I'll be so glad when the sun goes down. Ain't all that sleepy, baby, I won't see. Ain't all that sleepy, baby, I can't see. You chop your corner just like I chop mine. You chop your corner just like I chop mine. I was that a matter, baby, I can't see. I was that a matter, baby, I can't see. I'll be so glad when the sun goes down. I'll be so glad when the sun goes down. I'll be so glad when the sun goes down. I'll be so glad when the sun goes down. How y'all doing out there? Y'all all right? Good. The song that you have just participated in is something called a field song. Everybody say field song. When Africans off the coast of West Africa and sub-Saharan Africa were kidnapped and brought to this country as prisoners of war, they were stripped of their religion, their tradition, and their culture, most of them being teenagers, or at least young enough and strong enough to survive a trip in the belly or the bowels of a ship. When they were brought here, having missed out on all of those things and been threatened to a point of losing their life for even considering using those things, they used music, they used rhythmic patterns, they used their culture, what they had left of it, to create a coded language, a coded song. What you just participated in is called a field song. Oftentimes used in penitentiaries, oftentimes used on chain gangs. Testing, testing. Oftentimes used on chain gangs. Test, test, test. All right? So, these songs were America's first original music, out of which all forms of American music came. Whether they were clearing away fields to lay roads, or they were clearing away fields to plant crops. Now this field song, say field song, gave way to something called the spiritual. How many of you are familiar with the spiritual? All right. So if you know the song, sing along. Songs like, wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Sing it, wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. How many of y'all familiar with that song? Now most of you know the story behind that song. When enslaved Africans decided that they wanted to be free and decided to escape, oftentimes they would leave early in the morning or late at night. And in order to keep the dog off of your scent, you would either take an onion and rub it on your foot, or you would walk or wade in the water. Specifically if you're going west over the Mississippi or going north over the Ohio River. During that time also, Africans that were trying to escape would go further south down into Florida, which was at that time Spanish territory. This is where you get the idea or the concept of the Seminole Indians. Say Seminole Indians. They are a mixture of Africans that were here before Columbus, enslaved Africans that had escaped, and native people. So, songs like Let Us Break Bread Together. How many have heard that song before? Let us break bread together on our knees. Let us break bread together on our knees. When I fall on my knees with my face to the rising sun, oh Lord have mercy on me. How many of y'all familiar with that song? Oftentimes we hear that song in a ritual that we call communion. But that song has a double meaning like most spirituals. It is a coded language. Say coded language. All right, so the song Let's Break Bread Together, simply saying let's break bread, meaning let's meet together. When I fall on my knees, meaning we're sneaking off, make sure no one is following you. Facing the rising sun. The sun rises in the... Somebody said the sky. The sun rises in the east, giving direction as to where they will be meeting. This is how the spirituals were used. And if you noticed, when we performed the field song together, everything was on the one. Even with the spiritual now, everything is on the one. And this is important because when we move closer to hip-hop, that changes. The emphasis being on the one changes. Now, out of this spiritual came three forms of American music: blues, country, and gospel all come out of the spiritual, and I'm going to give you an example. Sweet low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Sweet low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? You respond, coming forth. Coming forth to carry me home. A band of angels coming after me. Coming forth to carry me home. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. You can count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be plenty of time for counting when the deal is done. Sweet Lord, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Sweet Lord, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. Now I know that the gambler is not a spiritual. I know that. But I just want to show you how similar they are. Now, country's a little different because it comes out of the Appalachian Mountains of Virginia, West Virginia, and Tennessee, where enslaved Africans and indentured poor whites oftentimes work together. But when you throw that African instrument called the banjo in there, you get something called country music. Now down in the Delta, places like Mississippi and northern Alabama, you got something similar going on, but a little bit closer to what we call the spiritual, something called gospel. How many of you are familiar with gospel? A couple of you, that's good, that's real good. So this gospel, at the same time, right after 1865, your gospel, your country, and your blues sound almost alike. Even to the point where spirituals that had now become gospel was being sang in juke joints on Saturday night when they're serving moonshine and dancing and getting on down. We're going to share with you a little bit of that gospel, and I want you to listen for the similarities from the gospel and the spiritual and the country music. How many of you have heard the staple singers? A couple? All right, okay, good deal. Now, usually I do this in schools, and they have no idea who the staple singers are until I start singing I'll Take You There. But for those of you that may not know, pop staples, along with people like Harry Belafonte and Sidney Poitier, used their finances to fund the civil rights movement. So at this moment, we're going to pay homage to the staple singers. Is that all right? All right. It's all right to put your hands together. Ain't even though we are talking about the origins of gospel, we have to remember that this gospel that came out after 1865, by the time it got to the 1950s and 1960s, had gone through a transition. And now this gospel, these spirituals, became what we call protest songs. They were used for boycotting, they were used for marching, they were used for sit-ins. Oftentimes when they were marching, they would form something called the unbreakable chain. And today we're going to form that unbreakable chain. I need everybody to take your right arm and put it over your left arm and grab the hand of the person next to you. Don't be shy. Don't be like that. All right. And we're going to rock. Here we go. We're going to rock to the left first. Here we go. And rock. 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 Left. Right. Left. Right. Come on. Come on. Left. Right. Left. Right. Left. Right. Here we go. All the chains of hand in hand. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Keep that plow stays in your hand. Let your strength in the promised land. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. One more time. That's right. Little gospel. Now, as I said, out of the spiritual came your country, your blues, and your gospel. How many of you are familiar with the blues? Okay. Fantastic. So I'm sure you know this song. Now, it was said, and the myth goes like this. A man by the name of W.C. Handy was at a train station in Alabama, and he heard this old man with this pocket knife strumming this guitar. And from that, he was inspired to write the Memphis Blues and the St. Louis Blues. Now, how many of you have heard of a guy by the name of Screaming Jay Hawkins? How about Howlin' Wolf? B.B. King? All right. We're not doing that today. We're gonna do a little Muddy Waters for you. Is that all right? Now, this blues is just like the spiritual before it. It's just like the gospel before it. It's just like the field song. There's a call and there's a response. Now your response is going to be, yeah! Together. 1, 2. Yeah! That's what I'm talking about. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Everything gonna be all right this morning. Listen. See, when I was a young boy, around the age of 5, my mother said I'd be the greatest man alive. See, now I'm a man, I'm past 21. All believe me, honey, I had lots of fun. I'm a man, full-grown man. I'm a man, I'm a rolling stone. I'm a man, come on, strong man. I'm a man, better leave me alone. See, I sat on the outside. Oh, me, man. Oh, believe me, honey. I come home 2 hours late. You wasn't that a pain? Hey, yeah. I'm a man. That's blues right there, y'all. Out of the Delta. Now, while this was taking place over in the Delta, over in Mississippi and Tennessee and Alabama and Arkansas, down in Louisiana, something a little different was taking place. A little bit more syncopation, a little bit more improvisation, with the likes of Buddy Bolden, Louis Armstrong, Jelly Roll Morton, something called jazz. How many of y'all familiar with jazz? All right. Well, we're going to do a little bit of jazz for y'all if that's all right. And if you know the song, feel free to sing along. You got to put your fingers together to feel cool. Here we go. Michelle on vocals, Corey Davis on keys, yeah, so that is jazz. Now, if you listen to that song in particular, if you listen to that, you'll understand exactly how this next genre came about. Here's a secret. After World War I was the first time that America's white middle class started to experience a financial boom. And what this allowed for was for their teenagers to have some extra spending money in their pockets. Record labels and radio stations got together to try and figure out how they could get a hold of some of that money that these teenagers had in their pockets. So they took the blues, repackaged it, and renamed it rock and roll. I'm going to say it again. They took the blues and they renamed it rock and roll. The lyrics didn't change, the rhythm didn't change, the instruments did not change. The only thing they changed was the name so it could be more marketable to a wider audience. Now we all say blues, and they renamed it rock and roll. The lyrics didn't change, the rhythm didn't change, the instruments did not change. The only thing they changed was the name so it could be more marketable to a wider audience. Now we all say, or we all hear that Elvis is the king of the blues, the king of rock and roll. And most of us have heard that Rocket 88 by Mr. Ike Turner was the first rock and roll song. But here's a secret. Back in 1922, a young lady by the name of Trixie Smith, say Trixie Smith, from Atlanta, Georgia, was the first person to sing the phrase rock and roll in a song. And what's significant about her is she was an artist on Black Swan Records. That record label was owned and operated by none other than W.E.B. Du Bois. So back in 1922, Trixie Smith is coined as the mother of rock and roll. I'm going to do a little rock and roll for you. If you want to, you feel free to get up and dance. Don't be shy. We all family. We going to get up and dance? All right, don't make me come down and get you. All right, here we go. Show. Get ready now, go back, go step on my blue suede shoe. You can do anything, step on my blue suede shoe. You can knock me down, steal my car, drink my liquor out of old Jenny car. Step on my blue suede shoe. You can do anything, step on my blue suede shoe. Well, that was just a lie. Well, they said you was high. Well, that was just a lie. You ain't never caught a rabbit. You ain't no friend of mine. Come on, baby, let's do the twin. Come on, baby, let's do the twin. Turn about my little hand, and it goes like this. My pa is sleeping, and my mama ain't around. My pa is sleeping, and my mama ain't around. We gonna twist and twist and twist till the sun goes down. Come on and twist, baby, baby, twist. Ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah. just like this. We're gonna twist and twist and twist. And do the twist. Tutti frutti, oh yeah. 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 Rock, baba, looba, a lot, bamboo. I got a girl named Sadie. She almost drives me crazy. Hey, I got a girl named Sadie. She almost drives me crazy. I got a girl named Sadie. Hey, rock, baba, looba, a lot, bamboo. I got a girl named Sue. She knows just what to do. I got a girl named Sue. She knows just what to do. I got a girl named Sue. Hey, rock, baba, looba, a lot, bamboo. Tutti frutti, oh Rudy. 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 Rock, baba, looba, a lot, bamboo. Yeah. Yeah. Remember a little rock and roll? Is that all right? So we have moved from the field song, first original music form that is born out of a oppression through the spiritual, country, blues, gospel, jazz. That jazz works its way up the river on up to Memphis and St. Louis and Kansas City, Chicago, Detroit. Rock and roll. Somebody decides to plug a guitar into an electrical socket. And now we move into the 50s and the 60s, where something that was once played only in shacks, only on some small black radio stations, they labeled it race music. Say race music.
Race music.
In order to make sure that it is marketable once again for a wider audience, blues is once again labeled something different. It's now being called rhythm and blues. And for this song, I'm going to need a couple of folks to come up here and help me sing. I need this young lady right over here in this brown beige sweater, over here, to come and help me sing with the ponytail. Don't look away. Somebody grab her. Yeah, with the glasses on. Yeah, come help me sing. That's right. Don't be shy, don't be like that. And let me see. Come on up. That's right. And right on time. I need this young lady right here that just reached down to come up and help me sing. Come on up. Don't be shy. Be a good influence on your peers. Come on up. Well, some of them are your peers. Come on, I'm gonna take good care of you. I won't embarrass you. Come on. Give her a round of applause for being so brave. They look so lovely, don't you agree? To the stage, mama, to the stage. There you go. Hey, Janice. I went to school with this young lady right here. This is Candace Woods, and we went to Tennessee State together. Yeah. You gotta get close to the mic. All right. So, you two are gonna be on this mic. Don Michelle, you're gonna be right there, and you two gonna be over there. Now I need the ooh-oohs, I need the brothers and the sisters and all that. You got it? Here we go. Now, what was significant about this R&B or the music during that time was artists were using their platform to speak out against injustice. They were using their platform to speak up for equality for everyone, not just human beings, but our environment as well. People like Roy Ayers, Curtis Mayfield, Peter, Paul, and Mary, John Lennon, and my favorite, Mr. Marvin Gaye. many of you crying. Brother, 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 there's far too many of you dying. You know we got to find a way to bring some love here today. Oh, Father, Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate, yeah. You know we got to find a way to bring some love here today. Oh, pick your lots, brother, pick your sides, brother, don't punish me with brutality. Come on, talk to me, so you can see what's going on, 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 oh, what's going on. I need your help on this, Candace. Father, Father, everybody thinks we're wrong, Oh, but who are they to judge us? Simply cause our hair is long, yeah. You know we got to find a way to bring some love here today. Oh, we get like sister, pick your side, sister, don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me, so you can see what's going on, 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 what's going on. Give me some love, y'all make a round of applause. Thank you. Women. All right. Thank you, Candace. So, this R&B of the 60s that's still on the one is a part of this whole soul movement, like James Brown and I'm sorry. James Brown. And James Brown gives birth to something called funk. How many are familiar with funk? Make my funk to P-Funk. I want my funk uncut. All right? A fire. Yeah. This funk comes out of the 70s. And it's hard on that 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right? So, for this next song, we're going to give you a little funk if that's all right. Wait, what happened to him? He ran off? Okay, that's cool. We'll wait on him. Just teasing. For this next song, I need a couple of men to come up and help me sing. Let me see. Don't be shy. I need some men over 50. Yeah, right there in the green shirt. Come on down. Bring her with you. Uh-huh. I need this young lady right here in the blue shirt with the lovely silver hair to come on up. Uh-huh. Right here. Don't be shy. You sure? Well, you got to send somebody else. Come on up. All right. Come on up. Let's see. And I need this young lady right over here in the purple shirt. Come on up. Come on down front. Y'all are so shy today. You're gonna miss out on a good time. Are there any ladies that would like to come down right here in the front right here and have a good time with me? Can I get one? It's like church. Can I get just one? Can I get just one? Hallelujah. Uh-huh. Come on down right here. All right, all right. You ready, brother? You ready to sing with me? Tennessee State? All day, all day. There we go. Y'all ready to dance? Here we go. Just a little fun for y'all. Yeah. Sing along. How? You know the song. She's mighty, just let it all hang out. She's that break. Yeah, come get in the mic. How? I like a lady stack, and that's a fact. Ain't holding nothing back. Oh, she's a break. How? Well put together, everybody knows this is how the story goes. She knows she's got everything that a woman needs to get a man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. How can she lose with the stuff she used? 36, 24, 36. What a winning hand. She's a break. How? She's mighty, just letting it all hang out. She's a break. How? She's the one, the only one. Built like an Amazon, listen. The clothes she wears, her lovely wings, make an old man wish for younger days. Yeah, yeah. She knows she's built and knows how to please. Showing up another strong man to please. She's a break. How? Yeah. She's mighty, just letting it all hang out. She's a break. How? She's the one, the only one. A bit like an African. Shake it down, shake it down, shake it down, shake it down, down. Shake it down, shake it down, shake it down, down. Shake it down, shake it down, shake it down, down. Shake it down, shake it down. Get low, get low, get low, get low, get low, yeah, get low, get low, get low. How? She's mighty, just letting it all hang out. She's a break. How? She's the one, only one, built like an Amazon. She's a break. How? I like a leg stack, that's the best. Ain't no nothing about it out. She's a break. How? She's the one, the only one, built like an Amazon. She's a brick. Yeah. Give me a round of applause. Thank you, sir. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. So this funk of the 70s, that's all on the one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Starts to move into something called forward to the floor. Say forward to the floor. That means the emphasis is on every beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's called disco. Now this disco gave way to what we know as hip hop. This hip hop was a culture created by youth in New York that were in rival gangs. They got together and decided they didn't want to kill each other anymore. They didn't want to go to jail over foolishness. This was America's first youth movement that started in the 70s. And they used the elements of hip-hop like b-boying, MCing, mixing, dancing, graffiti. They used those things to bring them together, to unite as one youth movement. So we're going to show you that transition. I hope you all have had a good time. I know I had a good time. Did you enjoy yourselves? And I hope that we learned something together. We're going to give you a little disco. Here we go. And if you know the song, feel free to sing along. Here we go. fun, make friends. Let's get together about 9:30. Come tomorrow, let's all do it again. Boys will be boys, you better let them have the toy. Girls will be girls, jump on me, girls and girls. Let's do it again, to the shirts and slide. I think I wanna live this party like that. Good times, these are good times. We go heads behind. These are good times. Good times. These are good times. A new state of mind. These are good times. Here we go. I said hip hop, a hip it to the hip hop, and you don't stop. Rock it to the bang bang boogie, say jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie we beat. Now what you hear is not a test, I'm rapping to the beat. And me and I brought the crew, we gonna try to move your feet first. We gotta bang bang, a rhythm of the boogie, say jump the boogie to the bang bang boogie, let's rock. You don't stop, that beat that'll make your body rock. Say hey, say hey, say ho, ho, say ho, ho, say ho, 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 say ho, ho, ho. Well, somebody, anybody Looking at ourselves. Let me introduce my band real quick on keys. Mr. Kerry Davis. On drums, Jennifer Brother Keith right here. On guitar, Jennifer Sandy on guitar. On my far right, give it up for my vocalist, Alicia, give her a round of applause. And on my immediate right, give it to Star Michelle. Thank you all so much. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other.